This isn't going to play.
Hi, folks. Bob Mannery here. You're listening to A2D Radio, real sports talk radio for the fans, by the fans, no agenda. These guys are the best in the business. Hashtag it. No notes.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's another week of Birds of a Feather on A2D Radio. We are coming at you. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Twitch, all over the internet. We are here for you. It's your boy Chucks coming at you again. To my, this way. Yeah, I'm getting used to it. To my left, Mr. Pete Evans. What's going on, bro?
What's up, man? Cool. Another day in paradise. Happy holidays, everyone.
And as usual, we've got the big dog, Tom Arnone. What's going on, Mr. No Notes?
What up, what up, what up?
Ladies and gentlemen, we are at you. Our sponsors, our doc, Paul Vidal of Specialized Physical Therapy LLC in Burlington, Cherry Hill, and Princeton, SpecializedPhysicalTherapy.com, and MBuck Services Gutter Cleaning for rotted board replacement, deck installation restoration, tree trimming, all other gutter-related services. Give them a call at 856-879-5530 or visit them at ambuckservices.com and make sure you mention A2D to get 20% off our poll question, which is brought to you by Philly Drinkers at phillydrinkers.com. The contract extension for Carson Wentz was a bad decision. Agree or disagree? We're going to get into that. Whether we're having buyer's remorse on giving Carson Wentz that contract, that big contract extension that he got before the 2019 season. We'll talk about that. We are also going to talk about, in our segment, Fire and Hire, we're going to go through the Eagles front office or entire organization, name people that we would fire, and then who we would hire in their place. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to give you a little preview and predictions for the Eagles-Packers game on Sunday. I'm sure we are all looking forward to that game. And we will talk about anything else that comes to mind, NFL-related from week – was that week 12, week 13? I'm losing my weeks now.
Well,
no, week 12,
you're good.
right?
You're good. You said a kid. You're fine. You're fine. You're right there.
Any reactions from week 12 or any news that's come out lately? So, to kick it off, Tom, do you have buyer's remorse over Carson Wentz's contract extension? Was it a bad decision? Agree or disagree? What you got?
I disagree because I don't want a Monday morning quarterback myself either, and people who did think it was a great deal at the time, right? Because I look at it two ways. One way is if you don't, you end up franchise tagging him, and you become what the Cowboys have become, and your quarterback's on a 1-year deal, right? And I don't know how smart that is as an organization either, because that's not a direction. So at the time of the signing, you felt like you were going in the right direction. You had your franchise guy. Now, how can you build around him, right? So I try not to there's guys I will franchise tag. Quarterbacks are really not one of them guys I want to do that to, right? Like I'll do it to a lot of guys, but the quarterbacks, because that's not telling me how much then it starts being questioned even more. Does the organization believe in you, right? So I'll say disagree to that because I wouldn't franchise tag him. And at the time, we all believed it was a good deal. And it was a cheap deal at the time. Or we knew it would be cheaper in a couple of years, what we thought it would be. Now, yeah, granted, you're looking at it right now, most people are going to say agree. It's a bad decision. You know what I mean? Because look, I mean, he's playing terrible. But I'm not ready to say that's a bad contract yet. You know, in terms of moving him right now, yes. I mean, it's tough. It's a bad contract, but I'm not trying to move him either. So for me, I just disagree for all them factors. I'm not trying to move him. One, I think over time it becomes a team-friendly deal, right? If he can play up the standards we think he can. And three, I don't want to be the Cowboys. I'm not franchising my franchise quarterback, which he still is. So, I mean, it's hard to play Monday morning quarterback on it and then go away from how I thought about the deal at the time. You know what I mean? So that's what I got on it. By the way, breaking news. So we put out a post on Instagram about like which trio would you take? And Bryce Harper commented on that. So not just like, I'm sorry, like not just some guy. That's Bryce. That's Bryce. Bryce commented in. He's taking Team 4. He's on Team 4, by the way, and you can go to see that photo on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, not YouTube, but Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube not so much. So Bryce liked something. That's awesome. Or commented. That's awesome. But yeah, I disagree.
So who's I'm just kidding.
Don't you start.
Pete, what you got? Agree or disagree?
I think so. Fam, how we got to this topic with this poll question is kind of a question that we just had off screen. It was in our chat that we communicate a lot, and it's this conversation got us leading to this poll question. And I would have to disagree for similar reasons to TA, but a little bit different. And when I say a little bit different, it's really because in hindsight, we can sit here and say it was a pretty bad deal. You know what I mean? But it's just the way that the deal, it's not the deal itself. The decision itself is just the way the deal is structured. But we have to look at what has led Wentz to regress. We can't all put this on his shoulders and his shoulders alone. I mean, and really the play itself, if you look at the quarterback and the contract, that's just average, 25.9. Maybe the cap pay, he doesn't have any control over that. That's how he set it up. But key word there, underline it, capitalize it, bold it, italicize it, anything you want to do. It's 5 fucking letters, and it's Howie. The decisions that he has made after signing Wentz has us questioning now whether or not this poll question is an agree or disagree. Not solely because of the Wentz decision, but we're not cap strapped because of the decision he made to sign Carson Wentz. It's the other decisions that he made to extend other players, and he kicked the can down the road for the longest time, and now he has to come up and pay. Like, you know what I mean? Now you got to live in the bed that you made. You know what I mean? So I can't agree to the poll because what was the other option? I mean, they could have franchise tagged him, yeah, because that would have just shown how iffy they were on him, and which it kind of is one thing I can't stand, and that's being passive aggressive. And the way that the Eagles organization and those who have the power have been passive aggressive towards Carson Wentz and the decisions that they have made with Nick Foles and with Jalen Hurts. If you truly felt like this, maybe then Howie, it would have made more sense to franchise tag him. And then that way you can get out of it. Because I can honestly say right now, there's probably a good part of the fan base and definitely some hosts on other stations, a.k.a. Joe Crumgilio, who has a certain agenda, who definitely doesn't like Carson Wentz. You can also say Joe the camera as well, ESPN's as well, Max Kellerman. I mean, stick to boxing, my dude. Nevertheless, but you have those, okay, you can see a light at the end of the tunnel with this contract. For us, who were still kind of on the fence, we're still supporting him, but now maybe for the first time I realize like maybe this guy isn't it. We have to wait until 2022 to maybe walk away with a decent cap hit. I mean, because I don't think even if you can trade him, like say to the Indianapolis Colts, which is a famous name out this, which is a trendy name out there, a trendy destination with Frank Wright. If they keep him on the same contract, then we still have to eat that whole cap hit unless they restructure. If they restructure, then that can lessen it some. But with that being said, we ultimately this is really what the fan has to ask themselves. Do you think Wentz is the sole problem and the sole problem alone? If the answer to that question is not a resounding yes, then you don't start here with this trade. This is not where you start to make changes. You start to look to elsewhere to make changes. You just don't look to your QB to make changes because ultimately, you're pretty much admitting to yourself that his contract and his play alone, some of it's on him. Don't get me wrong. But there's a lot of other problems going on with this offense, and not even just the offense now. Organizationally, we're not talking about one side of the ball. We're not talking about 11 players. We're not talking about 53 players. We're talking about people who have the decisions overall on the team and the roster and the direction of the team that don't even fucking step on the field and play. Mm-hmm. If you have that problem, This contracts don't mean shit. Contracts only mean what you can do and what wiggle room you have. Now, I mean, can Daryl Morey, has there ever been a co-GM or a co-president of two sports? Can we get Daryl Morey to run the Eagles too? You know what I mean? But no, I vehemently disagree. And I would challenge those who challenge anyone who agrees to bring your best argument, because I'll shoot holes in that shit all day.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, Pete. He has nothing around him. It's bad. It's bleak.
And twofold. For one, I'm also going to be with you guys. I'm going to say disagree. The reason why I came up with this, I presented the question to you guys, and it ended up being our poll question, is because I got a little into it with one of the guys I follow on Twitter. And it's surprising because he's a smart guy. He's a football coach, and he breaks down film, and I look up to him, and I've learned a lot from him. But he's been saying that the worst contract in the league is Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz's contract. And he had said that you don't give contracts like that to QBs who aren't good. And so I went back at him, and I was like, listen, I get it. If you don't want to say he's elite, that's fine, or if he was never elite. But to say that now and forget what he was doing in the previous years beyond, prior to this season, it's kind of like you're kind of just hindsight is 2020, like we keep saying. Like, you look at the stats. I mean, I'm not a huge stats guy. You guys know that. But just as if you look at Carson Wentz's stats from 17, 18, 19, especially when he got that extension prior to the 2019 season, he was trending up. His numbers were trending up, and it showed a guy that was getting better at the quarterback position. I mean, the wins weren't there, but what do I always say? Like, I don't believe in QB wins as a stat. I look at how he plays, and the numbers and just how you saw how great of a quarterback he is. And I'm not even making the case that he's elite. I was just making a case that he's a great quarterback, someone who's deserving of a franchise quarterback. So
right.
you look at someone that at the time you're trying to get ahead of it. And like what you said, Tom, you're trying not to be like the Cowboys were, or even the Washington when they had Kirk Cousins, like franchise tagging them every year. That's a tricky line to kind of tightrope, So you're trying to get ahead of it and say, hey, if this guy is continuing to get better and we look at him as our franchise, why wouldn't we try to get ahead of it and give him a little bit of a cheaper deal compared to the other, quarterbacks, big name quarterbacks in the league? And, right now it's not paying off, but it's not just Wentz's fault. Wentz has a lot to do with it. He's playing like crap, and that's on him. He has to be held accountable. But remember and I cut up the clips of it, and I posted it on Tuesday morning. You remember what both Brian Greasy and especially who said at the end of the game, when Levy, and that's a phenomenal broadcasting crew, by the way. Like, the three of them, phenomenal. But Levy was, presenting them like, what do you make? Would you guys start Hurts? And both of them, Greasy and Riddick, both shot that down, and they were like, it's so hard to say that you would move on and go to Hurts because the context of everything that's going on in the situation, there's so much wrong with this football team, from the pass protection to the wide receivers to the coaching. And then Riddick even went a step further and talked about how there's no continuity between what's going on with Howie and what the coaches want. They're not in unison. Howie's picking players that the coaches don't want, and the coaches want players that Howie's not picking, and vice versa. Like, they're not working as a cohesive unit. So when you have all that, Greasy said it plain, like, to make a change at quarterback just to make a change, like, that doesn't make sense. You have a guy in Carson who, even though he's playing bad, you've seen him do it. You've seen his track record. You got to at least give him, another chance, even if it's not fixable this season or next season. So to me, I think it's foolish to say that, to look back and say, hey, the contract was a bad decision because of what's going on now. At the time and how it was looking, you can't help but look at that as a good contract. And hey, if it turns out that, and I think we all agree, if it turns out that next season he's not going to turn it around, and if he still plays like this, I'm sure all three of us and a lot of the Eagles fans out there will agree that it's time to cut bait, and we will be able to.
Listen, I was ready to not cut bait, but I was ready to bench him on Sunday or Monday. I was ready to put him down. I mean, and more for him, just because this is a train wreck. I mean, like nobody can get open. I agree with everybody out there that's chiming in right now saying like every head coach needs an offensive coordinator. I'm a big advocate of that. I'm a big advocate that doesn't work. It didn't work for Sean McVay. It doesn't work for other coaches. Mike Tomlin's always had an offensive coordinator. He doesn't call his own plays. He's just a great leader of men. Good football guy. That's what Doug Peterson is and needs an offensive coordinator. And I think the only reason he said he'll do it himself is because of what happened and transpired this offseason to get us
Mike Groh.
Because he was just going to bring Mike Groh back and Laurie fired him. So, I mean, you take that for what it is. He would have an offensive coordinator, and then he just didn't have a titled one, which I didn't think was a big deal because I thought he had enough good names in-house. But I need somebody on the sidelines now. You know what I mean? Like I've seen, like I'm good because everything stinks. So like I need to do things differently because if I don't do things differently, I feel like it's going to go the same course here, right? Like I don't want this course anymore. But I'll say this about Carson: a million excuses you can make for the guy.
Yeah,
I'm not making any anymore because at the end of the day, I don't care how bleak it is around you. You have to play better, and you have to figure out ways to help your football team win games. Yeah. And I know Chuck's. I'm weird with this when you say like win-losses with quarterbacks. I judge quarterbacks big time off win-losses in a way, but it also win-losses in like what you said, like win-losses, stats, and eyes, right? Like win-losses, stats, and eyes sort of go all together, right? It's like one pile for me. Like I don't overvalue one more than the other, but like if a guy's winning games and he has great stats, great. If he doesn't have great stats and he just has average stats, but he's good in big moments. Right, and his team wins games that way. So there's like a lot of ways to differently judge it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Not that that's wrong at all. Like I throw them all in a big pile and say, okay, what is he? Last year I thought like at the end, like, dang, that's a carrier, right? Like I think you guys probably all thought that same way. Like that's a carrier there. Look at him carrying a bunch of nobodies. And now if you do that once, you got to do it again because it looks like you regressed. Mm-hmm. I know the offensive line's terrible. Everything's terrible. But perception is reality in a way. And when you're a quarterback and you're the franchise guy and you're $100 million guy, a lot's going to fall on your plate.
Absolutely.
So let's look at it like this real quick. So if you look at Carson Wentz, you look at all the types of quarterbacks that you could play like, to be the guy to carry a team, to be that monster, to be in that zone. He was that at 17. He was that for 13 games before he got hurt. Then you look at 18. He comes back, got to the Super Bowl. It's not doing so hot, but he's great in big moments. He does that too as well. He was kind of the same type of quarterback for parts last year. If you look at the last, like before the first 12 games of the year, he's kind of was that guy where he played like shit. And then I remember the Dallas game, the first Dallas game last year, they lost. It was in Dallas. The first half was terrible. He was terrible. He couldn't do anything. Second half, he started to find it. He started to bring him back. Started to look good to make those throws that we know him to make. And then towards the end of last year, we all talk about those 4 games. That was another guy like TA just said. He was a carrier. Now we've seen what Carson Wentz can be bad. So we've seen all phases of what a quarterback can bring to a team. Put a team on your back when everything is okay. Not have the best stuff, but be able to pull it out and get those plays and make those throws when you need to make them. And then we see it completely blow up. Beginning of this year, and just kind of, once again, roller coaster. We want to see Carson do well. Carson, let's save it. What's wrong? You can save it. You can save it. And I think I can speak for TA in this as well. Now we're to the point where it's like, Carson, like, listen, you're playing like shit. It's just not getting any better. You need to take outside odds. But listen, this ship is going to fuck down. I need you to get away from it as much as possible. For him, he needs Jalen to get in there and for it to still burn down. Because then we know that he's not the answer. And the real reason why we're in this is ego. It's Howie's ego, Laurie's ego versus Doug's ego. Doug this year didn't want to hire OC. You felt spited. You felt spited that you can do this shit on your own because of what they did to you would grow. Listen, my dude, be prideful, swallow it, and be humble. That's not how you won the chip in 2018. You didn't win that by calling plays yourself. You did it with a team effort, all on your coaching staff for your offense, through Frank Wright, through John DeFilippo. And your quarterback was more consistent at that time. So now I hear TA's point about win games. The worst thing about this whole situation for me is I don't want them to win shit. What sucks is I don't have this again for the next 7-8 months. That's the worst part about it. Like this isn't like what basketball. Okay, the Sixers lost in August. Baby, guess what? In 3 weeks, bitch, we got basketball over there. That's not going to happen for football. And we don't know what kind of team we're going to have. I mean, you really want to win this? You really want to win this division right now? Like I don't.
Pete, think about it. This is why, Chuck, this is why we are all in this year, because we're up against the Cat next year. This is an all-in-the-win year. This is what makes it even hurt more. And I mean, all-in-the-win what? You'll say to me, Tom, well, I thought my quarterback in year 5 was going to progress more. I thought my GM, with all these late bloomers he picks over the years, would be together. I didn't think Brandon Brooks would be out all year. I didn't think Lane Johnson would constantly be banged up. I didn't think Andre Dillard wasn't going to be here when I really thought about this roster prior, who was a first-round pick. So all these things, I thought they would draft better, in my opinion, this year than they did. So like all these factors that went in before. Now, when we got here, we still thought this roster should be able to compete, right? We still thought it. But guess what? We also knew that there's a lot of holes. There's still a lot of holes. They can go out and get every guy who can, in their eyes, can run fast they want on the offensive side of the football. There's still holes, right? And there's holes at tackle. There's holes everywhere, right, guys? And when you talk about draft next year, I don't even know who I would take because there's a million holes.
Two words: Jamar Chase. That's it.
Maybe, but I'm not going back to that. You know what, Pete, Chucks, don't listen to me. You go Parsons from Penn State. It's a linebacker. That's a linebacker factory. All right. Listen, I'm not going back to I ain't going back to a goddamn wide receiver well again right now. I am not going back to a wide receiver well.
Listen. Crystal ball. Louis Riddick is making the pick. That's all I got to tell you.
And he can pick whoever he wants.
There you go.
One time, guys, when we did a draft special that night, that week, like he would make him be like, "We're good." Like round 7, it could be like some jabron and be like, "Guy can play."
Mr. Irrelevant. Okay, he can play.
Yeah, you can play.
There you go. There you go. No, I know who was it? Someone asked earlier. Would we rather have the Eagles lose out for a higher draft pick, or win to get that playoff experience? Weeks ago, I was let's still win. And you guys remember, I was on the show said that, but it's such a mess that I don't. It's beyond the fact that like it goes beyond wanting to get them experience. It's now at the point where we've reached critical mass. Like, Lurie has to make changes, and there are reports out there that Doug's job isn't safe. There are reports out there that he may or may not. One report says Howie's job isn't safe. Another report says Howie's job is safe. That Lurie wouldn't fire him. I don't know. But all I know is change has to be made this offseason. If we win out, make the playoffs, change isn't going to do anything.
I don't necessarily agree. I don't
agree with that.
That's already been planted. That's already planted in heads that if this would be a mirage and a miracle if this team wins games right now. So like if they win games and get into the playoffs, I still think changes come on the changes we want, or they're not coming. Period. Because either they're gonna happen, and Jeffrey Lurie already believes they're gonna happen, or he's not up for getting rid of the guy that we want him to get rid of, which is Howie.
Okay.
Maybe he just never will get rid of him.
Maybe you're right, but I think that also, Tom, you said that there's so many holes that I look at the names now at the top of the draft, and there's so many good names. I mean, we already said Chase, Parsons. Those are two of my favorite prospects. I would be jumping head over heels for either of them. We draft either of them, I'll be happy as hell. Yeah. So there's just, man, like I need there to be, and I get it. People are going to say, and I already see in the chats that people are saying, I don't have faith in how he's drafting. And I don't either. After last year, what he did with Hurts, the second round? I don't either. I've been off of the Howie wagon, but I'm also clinging on to the hope that maybe Howie's not the one making the decisions. So, I'm hoping, and we'll get into that in a bit with the next segment, but man, like I can't be looking at this team and just in the back of my head be like, there's no hope for them for next year or year after. Like that's despair. Like looking at this team and thinking that there's no hope that this team can get better next season or the year after that. That's really, really upsetting. So I need something to give me hope that, hey, like we can have a great draft, a new staff, whatever, and just go forward. And maybe even if we're not winning, if we can see the young talent on this team next year with a really good draft and a good, free agency, that's exciting. I mean, look at take a team like the Cardinals. They're not winning a whole lot of games. They're teetering around 500, but they're still, you can see how, that they have a future. Same with the Panthers. They have a future and they're exciting to watch. They give you hope because you see the potential years down the road. And I need that for next year. So I'm at a point where I'm just like, if they win a game or two down, toward the end of the season, okay, that's fine. As long as change still comes and that the draft is still going to bring hope, because that's what it is. Draft is supposed to bring hope. If I can't be excited for the draft and hope from what we get in the draft, like it's hard to be excited about the future of the team.
And the thing is with Lurie, and to speak to TA's point too, if they happen to win the division, well, Lurie's going to see what it took to do that. And he knows he's been the owner of the team for almost close to 30 years now, right? So he knows in this year in this division, you're winning with 6 or 7 wins. Now, changes still need to be made, not only because of that, but DK Metcalf, he's killed us 3 times. 3 times, twice last year, and then Monday night. He went for 10 for 177. So Jeffrey Lurie the defense played all right. I mean, outside of DK Metcalf and Darius Slay, and sometimes Darius Slay's in perfect position, and it's just nothing. Physically, he can't grow another 3 inches in the field. And if he doesn't play it perfectly, which he played it 98% correctly, you just got to do that. That's just a freaking beast. And it was just on one because one of our defensive coaches said, "You're not Megatron. We don't need to throw any fuel on that fire at all." So he's seen that firsthand. He's seen his GM pack up 2 minutes left in the game to get out of there for whatever reason, wherever is more important for you to go at that time. He's seen Justin Jefferson. He's seen every other draft. And the only reason you're in this position and why the cap is so strapped is because it's the draft. Like when we said kick the can, I said kick the can down the road with Howie and the cap, right? He's also done that with his draft stock.
Mm-hmm.
You can't run from this anymore. I remember people say, I was saying this shit back in 14 and 15, but they said, well, no, Howie just got back. He just got back.
He just got back. Give time. He just go back in the door.
Yeah, I was like, no, it's not going to work. And now all those people have now come around to see like, yo, this dude can't draft. So now when you see that, listen, get ready. I think TA, you may have said it on Tuesday, Sean, after dark. This offseason, Fletcher, 3rd round pick, gone.
Yep.
Anything of value that you can get money off the books has to go. Especially if you bring in a new GM.
You need to blow it up, man. You need to blow it up.
That hurt.
Yeah.
That hurt to say. Some of these teams that I said you gotta go. You gotta go.
And it's not none of their fault. It's Howie's fault. And it's sucky. Now the one thing I don't want to happen is I've heard people say, bring in another GM and you just let Howie cook the books. No, listen, Howie has to go. Lurie has to move on from Howie. There's other smart Twitter thug kids out there with analytics somewhere. Benjamin Solak, obviously he won't be him, but somebody like that who knows the analytics to be able to replace Howie. Like people are going to know numbers. You know what I mean? Like you look at Kansas City. Kansas City paid Patrick Mahomes a lot of money, signed Frank Clark, brought in other players to sign big contracts. Guess why they're still afloat? It's because they're drafting well.
Yes.
They drafted so well.
Everybody has compared to us.
Yeah.
That's
Even
why I
the
say
Cowboys draft better than we do.
we are in the worst position in our division.
You know what's funny? When he came back through the door, Pete, when he came back through the door, I think we all embraced him again. But most of us realized who those picks were, who made them selections previously. When you talk about Lane, Zach, and some of the main guys, Fletcher wasn't even either one of their picks. You know what I mean? Fletcher was an Andy pick. So, I mean, some of these guys you got to look at and say, like, whose pick were they really, right? And then realize what we talked about since I've met you guys and we've been doing shows here at A2D, which has been a long ass time now, that we've always talked about one thing. What are Howie's strengths? Free agency, cap, not the draft so much, right? We always talked about that. We all knew that, right? But guess what? When now you're only good about a 1 out of 3, supposedly, now we're in trouble. And now it's time that you need either your help or it's time to go. And to me, everything starts at a higher up and works its way down. So to me, like, I think he's the main reason why a lot of people might agree to this poll question tonight, because they look at Carson's regression and they're not really putting it on Howie. They're putting it on Carson. They're not seeing the bigger picture on, like, hey, you might want Doug to go, you might want Carson to go, but how about we start with Howie Roseman, and then let some other smart football guy come in and make those decisions on who should stay and who should go, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So to me, it's when it comes to Howie's draft, and I did an article last year, breaking down each of his drafts. And when you look at it, and I'm talking about when he came back after the Chip Kelly, era, like,
right.
And just looking at his drafts, 2016 was, I don't think any of us can deny, 2016 was a great draft for him and the Eagles. Like, he moved up to get Carson, but then also got Sayamalu, who's a starting left guard now, who was a decent player. And, and that was in the 3rd round, okay? Because remember, 1st round, he had to trade up, and then he wasn't without a pick until 3rd round. After the 3rd round, he didn't have a pick until the 5th round. He got Big V in the 5th round, who was a swing tackle, backup tackle, who played a pivotal part in the Super Bowl year because he came in for Peters and was okay enough. He was adequate. So that's a 5th round pick. And then you got Jalen Mills, who was a serviceable corner for a while. So, like, you're talking about guys who that 2016 draft was phenomenal. I will give him an A for that draft. 2017 was the stinker. That's an F. I don't need to touch every pick. That is a big flat F, that 2017 draft. 2018, I thought was fine because you had the 2nd round pick was Goddard, and we all agree Goddard is, he has big potential. And then he didn't have another pick until the 4th round. He got Josh Sweat, who's coming into form, and then Avonte Maddox, who should be in the slot. He's not being used correctly. But he has, like, for a 4th round pick, if he turns out to be a decent slot corner, you take it. And this goes into my thing I said last week, or 2 weeks ago on the show. Howie's day 3 picks are good. It's the day 2 picks that are bad, because now my issue with Howie starts in 2019 in his drafting. 2019, we get Andre Dillard, who I wasn't that high on. I had him as a 2nd round grade. Everyone knows, he's the best left tackle in the draft. I didn't see it. I had a 2nd round grade. I thought he needed time. Look how that's panned out so far. I'm not saying that I'm giving up on him, but he traded up to get Andre Dillard. Miles Sanders, I think we agree that he can be special if Doug uses him. And then J.J. Arcega-Whiteside over DK. I don't need to touch on that. And then this is what I hate. Day 3, you got to talk about Sharif Miller and then that quarterback Clayton Thorson. Those are a waste of picks. Those are wasted picks. You wasted those picks on day 3, where he's usually good. You wasted them on a quarterback that's not even with the team anymore. And Sharif Miller, who was a god-awful edge defender. And then last year's 2020 draft, we all know. The Hurts pick, the debate over Jefferson over Reagor, which I understand. And then, like, it's so bad what he's done, for me at least, what he did in 2017 and then the last 2 drafts. It's too much to look over. because even when you give him props for the stuff he did do well, which he has had some good picks, the bad is way too overwhelming to offset the the good that he did in the draft. And so, like, I'm willing to be objective and give him his props, but it's just he's not. When he came back, we lauded him because he was aggressive with trades, hence the trade up for Wentz. He got rid of a lot of cap. He was fleecing other teams on trades. He got Ajayi for, God, I forget, was a 5th or 6th round pick or something like that. Like, he was aggressive. He was good with deals, and he had a vision. He said, hey, 2017, I'm going to build with free agents with short-term contracts to win now because my quarterback is on a rookie deal. And we lauded him for that, and rightfully so. He had a good plan early on. The issue is when the time came for those contracts to be done and over with, to move on from these older players and to start relying on the draft, that's when the issue came. That's when he started to get bad, and that's been the downfall, because when you have to transition now from a short-term building process, going from key free agents, to a long-term building process, going to and relying on younger players in the draft, he's not good enough. He's just not good enough. And
how about that? Yeah, I mean, you hear that? That was weird. I got a weird kick.
Yeah.
Like this, like what's his name? Blasian Gaming. Guys, I just listened. Why is that? For the past 3 years, I've wanted players that we didn't get, and they end up being really good. And I think when that starts happening, when you can say for 3 years, right, guys, that's when it's like, all right, there's an indictment here. There's a big time indictment here on our general manager, because it's not like he's drafting guys that are like these huge impact guys instead of the other guys. So it's like it's hard to not think he's fully to blame. But go ahead, Chuck. I just wanted to read that off because I thought it was good.
No, that was the end of my point.
It's spot on. I mean, that's spot on, and it's sad because now I don't want Lurie to kid himself. Really, Howie just doesn't need to go. I think Weidl needs to go. The whole scouting department needs to go, because ultimately, if you're scouting players for Howie to pick J.J. Arcega-Whiteside over DK Metcalf, not only is Howie flawed for making that overall decision and making that call, whoever tried to battle against and say, hey, these two guys are on the same level, they need to be reevaluated. I mean, but it's not.
Here's the thing. I get what you're saying, but there have been reports, and so I don't know who to condemn and who not to when it comes to our scouting team, because I don't know if you read the McLean report. Apparently, and this happens in every team. Like, this is not the point, but a lot of the scouts wanted Jefferson, but the coaches wanted Reagor.
I did see that.
And so Howie sided with the coaches because he felt like the coaches had a plan for Reagor, so they drafted Reagor. Well, my issue with that is, how are the coaches going to like push for a player that they say is the better fit, which I understand, but then when it comes to this season, they have no plan. There's no plan. Like, you don't know what to do with them. And I'm not excusing Reagor. Rager's been bad. Like, watching his film, his route running is horrible. So don't think I'm making excuses. I'm saying that it's twofold. It's bad Reagor, and it's also the coach is not using his actual strengths to take advantage of his speed. So how are you drafting a player, a speed guy, dynamic guy, and not using him the right way when you said all along
the same way they traded for Golden Tate and didn't know what to do with him?
They don't know what to do with him. It's like where is the continuity? It doesn't make sense. Like, if you were just going to go to Howie and be like, I don't know, just take the better player, maybe Howie just goes and picks Jefferson. And so, like, we wouldn't be, having this issue with, we should have picked Jefferson. Like, and you guys know, my reaction over the Reagor pick was all over A2D socials. Everyone knows me as the Reagor guy, but they also forget, and I told you, Tom, in direct DM, I never hated Jefferson. I had the same grade on both of them. It just the difference was that I liked Rager more than most people. But the difference
So
was
did the coaches. The coaches were on your side.
and the issue was never Jefferson. Jefferson is a stud, and I will never deny that Jefferson is a great player. He is a great player, and believe it or not, I am happy that he is doing well in Minnesota. I'm able to separate my fanhood from being a football fan, but it's like the whole mess of why are the coaches making a push for a player, saying it's a better fit, they're a better fit, but then not using them the right way. It's something's really off, and that frustrates the hell out of me because it shows there's no continuity and there's no plan. There's none. It bothers me a lot. It really bothers me a lot.
And then on top of that, like, you don't use Rager for a jump ball. Why are we doing that?
Why you like this is like I'll tell you from this past game, and let me tell me if you disagree, because to me it doesn't make sense. You throw 2 screens to him, right? Two screens. Mm-hmm. And then the rest of his routes, they're either curl routes in the 10 to 15 yard range, so some type of stop route, or it's a go route. Rager is really bad at route running, and he's not getting separation on any of those routes. The go route or the go routes or the curl routes, he's not getting separation because if I'm going to break it down, he's not attacking leverage at his release, and then when he's at the top of his route, he's picking up his shoulders, and that's a tell for the corner to say, oh, he's making a break. He's not keeping that pad level, his shoulder level, as if he's running to sell a go route, and then when he breaks it for that stop route, the corner is left in the dust. He's not doing that. He's giving a tell at the top of his route. So those are issues. However, there were four intermediate or short crossers that Rager ran the whole game. Only 4. And on all 4 of them, when he ran, either the 2 of them, there's 2 short routes where I think there were slants, and the other 2 were just intermediate crossers in the middle of the field. He was open on all 4 of them. Why if a coaching staff, as a coach, if I'm looking at that and I'm looking at studying the film, and an amateur nobody like me can see that he's not getting open on man-to-man go routes, he's not getting open on stop routes in the intermediate levels of field, but he's getting open on crossers. What should I do? Shouldn't I put him in more crossing routes, more slants, more intermediate in routes, and like out routes? Like, if he's getting open on a certain route, let him run those routes.
I agree with you on letting him run those routes. I agree with you, but like this is a problem. It is good. Like, I mean, this is good. I was told that he was explosive over the top. I was told that, these were the things that I was told. So, and what everybody tried to sell me on the pick for, and I was fine with that. Like, oh, explosive. Well, people are saying we're not using them right. I mean, not you, but people in the chat are saying like, oh, you run screens to him. Like, that's what I thought he could do. We ran 2 bubble screens to him. I don't see the big time elusiveness. We ran a jet sweep to him. I'm not saying much is there. I'm just saying I don't see like that blazing speed that I thought we were getting. And then in terms of jump balls, that's another thing. Supposedly, he was better than people thought he was coming out of college. Was going up and getting the ball. So these are all concerning things. I'm not out on him. I'm not going to trash him.
I'm right with you.
I don't want to keep doing this with wide receivers, like where it's just these reaches, and we got to hope that this guy figures this out, gets better at this. And I know it's all part of the process, but I'm tired of where everybody else doesn't have to wait on the process. Everybody else can just go kick out.
I'm right there with you, and you guys know, even as a guy who wanted Rager, it's disappointing because I was talking to one of my friends before the draft, and we were comparing what we thought about KJ Hamler to Rager. And one of the things I said about KJ Hamler, why he was so intriguing to me, is that Hamler's play speed in a lot of reps is better than Rager's. I mean, Rager, when he gets to top gear, Rager is just as fast. But if you look at the release, at the line, there are reps where Rager looks like he's not in full gear immediately. Whereas Hamler, if you watch him, he eats cushion in 0.5 seconds. Like, if there's a cushion, he's on top of it in an instant. And he always looks like he's running 100 miles per hour every single snap. with Reagor, one of the issues was not all reps. He looked like he was running slower on some reps. And I'm seeing that right now at the pro level with the Eagles. There are some reps where I'm like, dude, why are you jogging? Like, why are you jogging? Why are you running slow? Like, you are faster than this. Why is your acceleration so bad? Like, get off the line. And so even as someone who wanted Reagor, it's maddening because it's like I saw the potential in you pre-draft, but this is not the guy that I saw. And you've got to wake up. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not someone who is just because I like the player doesn't mean I'm going to make every excuse for you. And the same goes with my son Miles. Like, he's dropping passes and he's fumbling the ball. I'm not making excuses for them. Like, clean that shit up. Be better. I'm not just because I like you doesn't mean I'm going to be be behind you all the time and make excuses for mistakes. I don't play that way. If you're messing up, if you're not playing well, I'm going to call you out for it. And so those two have to clean that crap up. It bothers me. And it makes me mad.
The only caveat I would say to that is with the shit. So it's been on offense all year. It's really hard if it's hard for the guys inside to evaluate and how to use. Imagine somebody from the outside. Like, how do you really evaluate these guys? And maybe when Ray is running those drag routes, running those cross routes, maybe in the ear, Doug should be like, hey, look at Reagor here. Rager's your first read. He's probably not his first read. And we all know Carson is, for whatever reason, he'll lock on his first read, and that's what he goes with, right? So what if you illustrated to Carson and say, hey, on this, look to Jalen first, and then let him open it up. We all know wide receivers. Why that's what I call them, wide receivers. When they're not in the game, when they're not in the zone, when they're not getting the ball, it takes a different type of cat to really go full speed all the time. Everybody's not your Larry Fitzgerald. You know what I mean? Everybody's not going to be giving you everything on every play all the time. So it's one of those things, man. It's just really knowing what you're drafting and utilizing their skill set to better suit what you can get on the field. Now this is a very far stretch. But let's not forget, right now, the Cheetah is the best wide receiver in the game. We saw what he did at Tampa Bay in one fucking quarter. You know what I mean? But let's not be remiss to forget, when he first came into the league, he was very super duper raw. But they were giving him jet sweeps. They were giving him end rounds. They were giving him wide receiver screens. They were getting him in the game and to hone his skills and giving him that coaching during the week.
In the backfield. He was
Yes. What we see on Sunday is so tight on the microscope. They're losing this shit during the week.
Yes,
that's the problem. Monday through Saturday. That's the real issue.
I don't know, man. I mean, I see people saying like, "Well, we're asking him to do things he never did in college." Like, then I'm not drafting him in the first round. Then, I mean,
exactly. That's understandable. Like
if he can't run the whole route tree,
also on Reagor. This is also on Reagor. Absolutely.
If he can't run the whole route tree, then I shouldn't be using him on a first round pick, and that's an indictment more on this organization. Chris, we appreciate the tip, brother.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you.
Thank you for the dono, Chris.
But like, I don't know, like everybody's saying, like, this was what did he do in college then? Because like, I feel like everything I'm hearing he didn't do. Like, what else were we supposed to do? I get the ball slants to him more. All right, that's fine. But I thought he went deep in college. I thought, not that he can't go deep now, but
exactly.
We tried getting him involved in the game plan this past Monday night. So I don't agree with us not trying to get him involved and get him touches this week. Like, I feel like we tried to like make a game plan to him a little bit and get Carson the ball out of his hands quick. Like, nothing we do goes right. So like, I don't know if it's like, I don't know if I want to put it on players, at the end of the day,
it's everybody.
Everyone. Yeah.
But I'm just more of like, players got to play better for us to win. We have to have talent for us to win. It's like, oh man, this is sad.
And Tom, like, I'm totally with you, and I'm gonna reiterate it just in case anyone doesn't hear me. Like, I'm not even making excuses for Reagor because when I look at him running at TCU, he did.
I don't know. I don't know about that, Marcus. I'm sorry, Chucks. I don't know about that. Listen.
That's Julio.
I love Julio. I love D Hop.
Tyreek. It's Tyreek
on a different level, man.
I love Tyreek, but at TCU, Reagor ran crossers, and he ran a lot of screens and he ran go routes. All right, rub the seams. The issue I have with Reagor, I want to say it again, is he is horrible right now against press man. He cannot get off of press man, and he's not able to create that separation. When you have a wide receiver who's getting played press man and you're trying to get over the top, it's not about just getting a clean release and running faster than the corner. It's not just about that. You get away with that in college. You don't get away with the NFL because corners are just as fast as you. All right. You can't just rely on 50, 60 yards to build up speed and then, like my top end speed, I can finally get free when you're 50 yards down the field. No, you got to get separation within the first 10 to 20 yards. All right. Yep. So to get that, when you are running a go route, look at the go route in the first quarter and in the first quarter if you guys want to look back. And what I'm saying is he has a clean release. All right. Against what was that, Griffin? He has a clean release, gets off. Griffin doesn't jam him. He just lets him go. But Griffin is able to stay in phase with him because Reagor doesn't do anything at the line to attack Griffin's leverage. Griffin's just like, okay, you're going that way. I'm following you. You have to do something to get the defender flat-footed to go one way first, and then that gives you the extra space to go the rest of the way. Reagor isn't doing that. There was it the fourth quarter, the slot fade in the end zone? Same thing. He's not doing anything at the line.
He's just running. He's running right at him.
He's just running, thinking that his speed will get free, but that's not how route running works. You have to do something to give you that extra space. Well, and that's what I'm not seeing from Reagor.
The problem is Chuck's right, and you guys know this. In that conference, you're not forced to do that. Mm-hmm. You're not getting press at the line of scrimmage. You're not getting a lot of that action that you're going to get in the SEC per se. Like you're just not. It's a more open conference. It's a throw the ball conference. It's aired out. It's 50 points a night. It's everybody get involved. It's just a different type of style in a way that defenses aren't as good, right? You're not going to have as many good corners as you would face in other conferences. But the conference really doesn't matter the talent, but you're not forced to do it. So sometimes it's hard to judge players from that conference. Like, oh man, who was the kid that was drafted by Jacksonville that was a freaking stud?
Laviska.
No. We're going a couple years back, like a few years.
DJ Chark?
No, he's out of the league. It was Justin Blackman. Right, Justin Blackman.
Oklahoma
State.
Freaking stunned the Big 12, dude. I thought he was unstoppable. Like, I would have drafted him. Like, he was a top 5 pick. Like, how do you not draft him? He's a monster. And then you saw some of the things that he got away with there didn't work at the next thing. So it's hard to judge. Judge college guys, period. You know what I mean? And especially their route running, if they look like they're getting open a lot, right? So it's just tough, guys. You know what I mean? It's tough to judge it. And you just hope. It's a lot of it's, Russian roulette. Like, I'm hoping I hit.
Right. Yeah. But you said it, in the league, you need the foot. Like, if I'm evaluating a wide receiver, the first thing I'm going to look at, if it's not a surefire bet, if it's not a Judy or somebody like that, I'm looking at their footwork. I'm looking at how they can create separation. We heard it numerous times on Monday. He says, Lewis says, they just don't have guys on the outside that are creating separation. Mm-hmm. And that's the footwork. And that's where I would say, in hindsight, the one thing we heard about Justin Jefferson was his footwork. But we all, even me, I kind of got worked around to the Reagor pick because of the fact of the speed. But I just saw the comment said maybe it's the offense. I don't even know what those offense is.
Yeah,
it's not.
No identity.
It's not West Coast based Andy Reid. I don't know what it is. It's too complex. You asking these wide receivers to beat man coverage constantly, and you said they're not man beaters. That's the one thing. If they didn't, right, and if they had to beat man beaters, if Jalen Reagor had to be a man beater, he wasn't a man beater in college. He just ran by people. Exactly. So that's when you need to scheme to get open.
Yeah. What is West Coast? West Coast offense principle is you're not stretching vertically anymore. You're stretching the defense horizontally. Even when it comes to West Coast on the running game, the screen game is an extension of the running game because you're essentially just giving the ball to a player beyond the line of scrimmage. It's another extension of the running game. But the West Coast was built on crossers and screens and things like that to get you like where there's nothing West Coast about this offense. This is now turned into just I don't even know what it is. I don't know what it is. I'm not versed enough in all other schemes of offense to know what this is, but I know for one, it's not West Coast anymore. I don't know what Doug's doing. And so,
I think he's overwhelmed a little bit.
yeah, you could absolutely be right.
And because of like all the changing parts and moving parts
Yes.
to deal with all this year, I think it's messed up his whole offense in a way.
Yeah.
He can't do what he would want to do, like for like time and play design. I just feel like the whole thing's a mess.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, if he realizes that, like, is it too late? Do you think he's like too dug in to say, hey, okay, I need to take a step back? Because I don't know who he would promote to OC at this point.
Well, we're going to find out, right? I mean, we're going to find out if you're willing to adapt and adjust. Okay. And I'm all for having
Sunday. Is there a game this Sunday?
Yeah.
This is probably the first Sunday, the long ass time where I'm like, I don't even give a shit about outside fantasy. That's it.
They're going to win Sunday, by the way.
You think so?
I saw your prediction. I saw your prediction, Tom.
They're going to win.
Yeah.
Watch. What month? Pete, what month are we in, Pete? Because Pete didn't hear yet. What month are we in?
December.
What was Doug doing December, Pete?
He wins.
No. But what else does he do? What else does he do?
Runs, hands the ball.
Yeah.
Runs.
Oh yeah.
They probably run the ball 30. They probably run the ball 40
This
times.
is the team to do it against. This is the team to do it against. But let's get into the higher fire segment. But before we do, I know we've been, I've especially me, I've been ranting a lot, piling on Reagor. This is what I'll say. I'll say that I still believe, and it's okay if you guys don't agree. I still think that Reagor's potential is really, really high. I think if you are able to unlock the physical skills that he does have and get the most out of him and what he can be, I think that he does have elite potential, and I said that before. That's why I was high on him. But I will also say that he's got a ton of work to do, and that's on him. That's on Reagor himself to fix this crap, and that's on the coaches to also help him out and use them in the best way they can. It's on both of them. It's not just one person, as we said. It's everyone. It's a whole team effort. It's on Reagor to look at himself and work on the things that he's lacking on right now, and on the coaches to do a better job putting him in positions to succeed. And I don't think I'm unfair in saying that. I think that's a fair, objective thing. And I'm not giving up on Reagor, and I know none of us are. But if he is going to do what he kept saying online and before the season that he was going to do, he's got to clean his stuff up. He's got to start getting separation in some of these go routes. Man, Reagor, you are faster than a lot of these corners, but stop relying on just your speed. You got to get separation another way. You have to.
Yeah, let's get to some of the comments real quick. Chris says, Tom says we will win for the podcast, and then he goes to Harris and puts money down on cheese on the Packers money line. I'm taking the Eagles. I'm telling you, I don't know why. There's no good reason. They stink. I mean, Ertz is coming back. That helps, and they stink, but they're going to run the ball 35 times and shove it down their throat. Derek says this is where we need an offense coordinator. I think we all agree on that. DB says, I just want the Eagles to just go full goon on Sunday. We'll be 220 penalties for 300 yards by half. Fuck it. Yep, that works too. I mean, at this point. Marquise Reagor's least of my worries. All that shit opens up when you commit to the run. And you got to be able to run the ball too. I don't. And Marquise, we put the ball on the turf a lot. We all have. Nothing's been good enough. I mean, granted, we run the ball well. I mean, I can't even say we do that well. We'll see though. I think we'll be able to do it well this Sunday. Even though our offense line isn't any good, I think we'll be able to do it better this Sunday. Marquis saying Lockett started his career as a return man like Tyreek Hill and Djax. Reagor isn't a day one starter. He's supposed to take that time to develop and being a starter on special teams as a return man. Okay. I mean, maybe. I mean, I'm not going to use a guy in the first round if he's not going to come and play right away.
And that's a fair yes, Tom.
But it doesn't mean he can't be really good down the road. That's why I'm not going to shit on him. That's why I refuse to shit on him yet. I don't shit on rookies like I do with JJ. I didn't shit on JJ as a rookie. Oh wait,
yeah.
Now I'll shit on you.
Yeah.
Now we dump away. But year one, it's hard. You can't do that. I see too many wide receivers not figured out year one and figure it out. Matt says, guys, I can't feel sorry for a guy who calls 55 pass plays and 11 runs. I'll just say this. real quick, Matt.
Mm-hmm.
How many of them changed at the line of scrimmage? That's all. I don't know. So, I don't
Great
know.
point. Great point.
That's a very great point.
Calm your quarterback down. That's what I'll say. Calm your quarterback down. Won the throw 500 times. Bill Middlebrook, listen, the last Dagger fellows will be us winning the final 3 games and winning division and kiss that top. Yeah. But Bill, I mean, if you know December Doug, here we go. We're going to win some games now. Here we go. We're going to run the ball. We're going to somehow beat Aaron Rodgers. They look unbeatable right now, and we'll beat them somehow by like 3. Pop, what does A-Rod put up this week? He's killing shit this season. They took a QB also, and he did. And all he did was put himself in the MVP category. Yeah, I mean, that's the difference. That's the difference of having cojones. Big one. Like, you don't care. You just oh, man.
Where would you put Rodgers in the MVP conversation? Real quick. Don't have to go deep in it. I put him second behind Mahomes.
Yeah, two.
But I think Ben's going to win it if his team goes undefeated. And he doesn't deserve it.
True, Pete. Didn't even think about that one.
But if his team's 11-0.
Here's my prediction, pain. Yes, a lot of pain.
Chris, give me 21 points. I'll take 21 point bet. I'll even take 14. Give me 14. I'll bet you $100 HUD merch, and what are you going to give me? What are you going to give me back?
All right. So let's do this real quick. So this shouldn't be too long, but it'll be interesting. And I'll start it off with fire and hire. I'm going to start off because we've talked a lot about them.
I'm just going to go pay, so I'll be right back.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
We talked a lot about him. Doug Peterson. Now I want to preface this by saying that if you had asked me a week ago, I would have said fire him. But like if gun to my head, I'd say fire him. But there's a beacon of hope because Doug this past week, I think in one of his press conferences, I think on Tuesday, he had said that giving up play calling is now might be on the table. So the fact that he opened that up and said it. Now I don't know if that's one of those things where he's saying something he doesn't mean. So I don't know how legit it is, but the fact that he said it, there's a beacon of hope. So I am willing, because I've said this from the beginning, if Doug is willing to give up play calling and just be the head coach and manage the team, that I do not want to fire him. Like that's my stipulation. Before that, last week, I didn't think he would ever give up play calling. So I was like, all right, if you're not giving up play calling, you're fired straight up. But if he's open to it, that there's a beacon of hope. So I'm not going to fire him, but a dark horse candidate who I would like to bring in as OC, because I think that if we keep Rich Scangarello, they could do something, is I would like to hire Mike LaFleur as from San Fran. From San Fran as OC. Mike LaFleur, for those who don't know, he is the passing game coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers. The reason why I'd like to bring him in is because with Scangarello, if he stays on the staff, you're talking about I don't believe this team was, especially under Doug Peterson, I don't believe we're ever gonna be a run first team.
Right.
The running game isn't even the issue. Like the running game, when Miles is there and this O-line is relatively healthy, our run game actually is pretty damn good. Like our blocking schemes are innovative, they're creative. They do a lot of creative things with trap plays and wham plays and with the read option and everything and with RPOs. So I'm not even worried about the run play designs. I'm worried about the passing play designs. Now in San Fran, if you look at their passing game, it's married to the running game in the fact that they play off of play action. But these guys are like Pete, Kyle Juszczyk is wide open 25 yards down the field on a lot of these play action passes. Kittle is wide open. Like we're talking about scheming receivers open. San Fran schemes receivers open. So if you bring in LaFleur as OC, someone who has helped design those passing plays, pair him with Rich Gangarello, who can remain an assistant, you might be able to fix that passing game. You get some designs, creative designs, really marry the two. What we do to the passing game, play action, bootlegs, whatever, and all these misdirections and all that, then the passing game might have life. That's where you don't need the running game to spark, because I think the running game is good. You need the passing game to be more creative. So I wouldn't fire Doug, but I would hire Mike LaFleur as OC. I don't think Mike LaFleur is going to get any head coaching buzz. So I would expect the next step for him would be an OC job. So if he's looking for one, and the Eagles are looking for a guy, he would be the top of my list as OC.
Okay, so wouldn't fire Doug either. I would hire OC, but I think you are going to have to go along those lines of like someone like a Michael LaFleur, or maybe even like a Mike Kafka. You won't be able to get another credited prior OC because they're going to want to call the plays. And I mean, even though Sean McVay, I think he brought in an OC this year, he's ultimately still calling the plays, if I'm not mistaken. It's just really another ear to get another set of eyes on the offense. Anybody that is like obviously Jay Gruden, he's in Jacksonville, but anybody like that, like the head coach from USC who we brought in this year, he turned down the job because he wasn't going to be able to call the plays. Doug was going to call the plays. So you won't be able to get people like that, but you will be able to get those who maybe some coordinators in other systems, other teams that are just looking to have that title of OC. Now you do take the risk of that person moving on eventually, but that's the route I would go first. I would not fire Doug. I would hire an OC.
Yes. All right. I know Chris said we tried hiring him last year in Sanford Pernodome. Well, I mean, if he's gonna we can try again. We can try. We can absolutely try again. Who was it? Someone asked, do we think Jordan Howard will seal up for this game? I don't know why he didn't last week.
His number wasn't available. He won at 28, and Will Parker
he was like 45 or something like that. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Power back is going to wear freaking 40-something. No, that's ugly. You can't wear that. I was like, why does he have that number? But yeah, he changed it to 28 now with Will Parks being cut. So he has a better number, so that's good. Maybe he does play. I would like to see him because I don't want to see Corey Clement. That's for sure. Now Tom's not here, so we'll move on. But GM, are we agree we firing Howie?
Yes.
Yes. All right, we're firing Howie. I think we agree. I don't know if there's a lot of people here who's saying his name, but the person I would hire, who would you hire? And I'll tell you, I think you know who I'd hire as GM.
As far as GM?
Yeah.
I mean, I think you'll probably say Louis Riddick.
Yes, I'm gonna say Louis Riddick.
Yeah, I think you're gonna say Louis Riddick. And man, really, as far as GM, like it's been so much turnover. I mean, just someone who's an evaluator talent who's worked in the league before. I mean, I would say I would probably have to go either Riddick or Jeremiah, Daniel Jeremiah.
Hey, DJ.
Who's both have worked for the Eagles. Yeah, that's the craziest part. And to be honest with you, for Lurie's sake, if he does decide to go that route, they have worked with Howie and underneath of Howie to where Howie, if Lurie can't move on from Howie, that may be the way that we would get it. You know what I mean? That may be the way that we can still get a GM and have Howie completely hands off from making personnel decisions and just have focus on contracts.
Riddick and Howie hate each other.
Well, then Howie has to go.
Yeah, exactly. Riddick. I was going to say that earlier, but yeah, Riddick and Howie hate each other. They did not. Things did not end well between them two. So yeah, if we bring in Riddick, there's no way Howie's staying. But I hear you. It's between the two. Obviously, it's going to be Riddick, and I would be down for DJ too. I know we tried to get him years ago. What was it? Yeah, we tried to hire. Didn't we try to bring him
We tried to get him. I think we tried to get him after Chip,
as a chip? Yeah, that's right.
And he decided to stay.
Yeah, so that's a good name.
I mean, that was because Howie was still like Laurie wouldn't get rid of Howie. And he didn't want that. He didn't want that kind of. If he was going to be the man, he wanted to be the man and not have anybody left over from prior year. That's what I said. Like Howie's been here 20 years. I've never seen anybody have a job that long in sports, and that's not an owner.
Yeah, it's bad. But another name that was brought up. I don't know how true it is. There was a report that John Dorsey is also looking to get back into being a GM for a franchise. I would absolutely bring in John Dorsey. I know he hasn't been perfect, but he absolutely knows how to identify talent. He's drafted really, really well. So that's another name I would consider hiring. It's tough for GM because I don't know who else credible that would
so many
be
candidates.
Yeah. Who else? You firing Jim Schwartz? I'm still on the fire Jim Schwartz, man.
I don't.
I would. I can't. I know the defense has played well, but man, like there's still really red flag kind of stuff still going on. I mean, the whole Will Parks thing really rubs me the wrong way again. I feel like Will Parks is LJ Fort 2.0. I feel like it's another. I feel like Will Parks is going to do well in Denver again, and we're going to be like, why did we get rid of him? Oh, because of Jalen Mills. Because Schwartz loves Jalen Mills.
I think ultimately that would be Schwartz's downfall, the way he falls in love with players who don't succeed that just fit his type of mold. But I don't know, as far as the talent, how a scheme change or a philosophy change would have helped. Like, I don't know how much you can get out of this defensive personnel that you have. But at the same time, if he decides to not play Gary and if he cuts Gary and keeps LJ Fort, or if he keeps Will Parks and lets go of Jalen Mills, so not so much his philosophy, but the players that he decided to keep instead of other players, I think that'll also be his downfall. So, I mean, you could move on from him. It may be time to fire Jim Schwartz. Dank
Burrito says defensive corner, I would say Anthony Lynn.
But he's an offensive coach.
Yeah, I thought he was. I could check again.
He was a running backs coach in Buffalo.
Yeah, he's an offensive guy, so I don't think so. He's going to lose his job. Did you see the end of the game? Chargers are down like 10 or 11. And
why are you running?
Why are you running the ball? You have no timeouts. Oh my God, the Chargers will always charger. Let's see. Fire Jim Schwartz. Yeah, it's bad. Trying to think if there's anyone else we would fire as we're talking about. I mean, those are the big three. I would actually keep now in terms of someone keep. The only person to me on the staff in this organization that is really worth keeping is Stoutland. I don't know if you feel the same. I think everyone else is expendable. Yeah,
I would say him. I would say Marquez Manuel too, because I've liked what I've seen out of the DBs. They've been somewhat more consistent in their technique. It's just when your talent level can only go so much. And I really liked. I had to be talked about, especially the game plan this Monday, how the DBs communicate and how they were not cutting each other off on those rub routes. And I mean, the DP outside of DK. I mean, the defense played well, and it was DK. I mean, Rustin and Killis, you know what I mean? He had 230 yards, 177 of them shits went to DK. Like, you can't. Outside of that, as a whole, the other 10 guys on defense pretty much did their part.
Yeah,
I had a great game, so
I didn't have much complaint from the defense this past game. Like, I thought they played well. I know Slay had the worst game of his career, and by the numbers, and I get it, and you want more, but the way I see it, Slay is a top 10-ish corner. He's a great corner in this league. Right. DK Metcalf is a top 5 wide receiver. DK Metcalf has been cooking. He's been beating corners all year, except for Jalen Ramsey. That's it. He's been killing everyone. I'm not going to put it all on Slay, who on those balls too, especially that one-handed one, Slay had good coverage on almost all of those balls. Like it's it's not like he was lost like Jalen Mills and nowhere to be found, So I'm not even gonna put a lot of that on Slay. It's just elite players are gonna win.
Superstars make superstar plays.
Yes, exactly. It's that simple. So Bill doesn't think he wouldn't fire Jim because he'd have another job within 24 hours. I don't know about that. Do you think Jim Schwartz would have another job within 24 hours? I don't know. I can't.
I don't. He would have another job. I don't know if it would be 24 hours, but he would get hired again.
Yes.
I mean, if you go by the credence, like, okay, do I move on for somebody who's going to get a job that quick? So is it him or is it what he's been given? That's kind of that makes you think. You know what I mean? Like,
but then it was also reported last year that and confirmed that Schwartz has a lot of say in defensive personnel. He gets a lot of control.
Does. But do you think at what point? I was just thinking about this. At what point on his list is Howie getting to? Is so even if Jim hands a list to Howie, like, okay, I'm interested in this guy, he's not getting his first, second, or third choice. Maybe he's getting his fourth choice. So obviously, even in Jim, that's his fourth choice. So obviously, you can. That's an easy way to say, well, he has a lot of say on personnel, but you're giving him the fourth option out of five that he wanted. So what do you expect? You know what I mean? Do you think you can find somebody else? Do you want Jim to say, hey, Howie, no, you know what? You go find the players that suit his best. That would never work like that because Howie doesn't know what type of identity Schwartz wants to have on defense. If Howie really wanted to help Schwartz out, you go out there, I want to get this guy. Let him. What free agent defensive player have we gotten in a position of need that Jim Schwartz is probably interested in? Maybe Darius Slay. That was it. And he's been decent this year. Has he been a world beater? No. I mean, pretty sure if he's one of the linebackers, and I would listen, don't get me wrong. I like the defensive tackle position. I love it. Did you really need to go out and sign Javon Hargrave to a $48 million deal? Did we need to give Malik Jackson $10 million a year? Like, did we need to make that strength that much stronger? Don't get me wrong. You need one in the trenches. I get it. But at the same time, you can't put so much resource.
Yeah, when you spend so much on there, but then it comes at the expense of the linebackers. It's like, man, come on, like that's overkill. You gotta at least help out the linebackers. You gotta help them. Yeah, I agree. Like I don't mind them like getting a lot of depth for defensive line, but you can't neglect the linebackers as a result, or even the second outside corner. Like they should have got another outside corner. But no, I hear you. It's tough. There are other things about Jim Schwartz, and then we'll move on to the next guy. But there are things about Jim Schwartz and his scheme and his tendencies that still drive me nuts. I know some people still defend him, but I can't. Like he needs to be gone. I've had enough of Jim Schwartz. Press Taylor. We firing Press Taylor? I'm firing Press Taylor. I'm absolutely firing Press Taylor. I don't know who I'd bring in. I mean, as a joke off the top of my head.
Anybody but him.
Dan Orlovsky comes to mind. Like
Josh McCown.
Josh McCown. Yes, Josh McCown. Makes sense. That would probably be my top choice. Good name. Josh McCown. Get him in there. But yeah, I would absolutely fire Press Taylor. Justin Moore says you wouldn't keep Deuce. I think Deuce is going to get another job. I think after this season he's going to be hired somewhere else. And I wish him the best. I do. I do wish him the best. It's deserved. I mean, I think it's come to the point where we know that the Eagles are not going to give him a legit shot at head coach. I don't know why.
Right.
I always felt like he should have been the offensive coordinator over Mike Rowe last year. And I'm a huge fan of Deuce. Everyone knows how respected he is. And a lot of the players vouch for him. Like former players, they absolutely vouch for Deuce, saying he's an absolute leader. So I do wish him well. If we could keep him, I would of course I would love to keep Deuce, but I think he's going to be gone. So
Deuce is like the perfect head coach to where you can have an Eric Bieniemy or somebody like that run the offense to where I don't think Deuce has any interest in calling plays.
Yeah.
He just wants to lead. He wants his team to play a certain way, and he wants his team to have identity. So that's where you have strong overall leader and really strong coordinators underneath of him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and he gets on their players like skin, man. Like not skin, but he lets a fire, in their butt.
Mm-hmm.
He gets on them, and he's tough, but he's a great coach, and I do wish him the best. Todd Romack says, "Fire Jim Schwartz because I'm tired seeing our quarters play off coverage and get burnt." Like that off coverage thing in third and short really bugs me too.
Exactly. Make them be physical. Make them win. Make them swim you. Make them get their hands on you and be able to readjust. Get like Dion says it all the time. You have to get them off of the route get them to change the direction that they want to go. Make them think.
Yep.
And if they beat you, they beat you.
Yeah, exactly. He says, "I'm firing him last week." Exactly. Exactly. Anyone else come to mind in this organization you'd fire?
Anybody else? Whoever our heads, I don't even know who it is. The head scouter, the head of the scouting department. He has to go.
It's not
whoever
Weidel.
that is.
No, I think it is Weidel.
Is it Weidel?
I think Weidel is the head. I'd have to look it up. I think Weidel, because he's not the GM, obviously, but I think Weidel it takes the lead in terms of the scouting department.
Yeah, he has to, because it's just too many egregious errors of players who would fit this team better. And then if you feel like, and people who don't speak their name up, TA chiming in from off camera. But if you don't like a player over another player, if you like a player over another player, you have to be able to sell it. Like, be able to illustrate, like, hey, okay, I get it. We like this guy, but this guy can do more in these next 2 to 3 years and maybe contribute more immediately, especially with the way you're set up with cap wise, and just go for it. That's the one thing I don't think the voices in the rooms are loud enough, or the people who are hearing the voices aren't taking them serious enough.
Yeah. I wish we could know. I mean, there's always disagreements with every team, and as I was saying this earlier online, like you're always going to have arguments and disagreements when it comes to the scouting department and the front office people. It's about working together to make sure you're getting the right players. I mean, that goes without saying. And I think right now they're just not getting the right players, because the right players would be the players that these coaches know they can use. And like I said at the beginning of the year, that's not happening right now. No. It's just not happening, and it's bothersome. Tommy Chanel says wherever Deuce is going to go, he's going to be successful. So I agree. I do think I'm rooting for him. We'll see where he goes. I hope it's not a division rival, though. No, I don't think it wouldn't be. It wouldn't be.
I don't think.
Well, Grayson's here. It's time for the
rock stars here.
Yes. So, I don't know if you guys, whoever is friendly on Facebook and whatnot, social media, this little guy absolutely loves watching football, and I think I've been blessed. Like, he literally will. I have videos of him, like, he's glued to the TV, and he's like wide eyed and like he's laughing and he's freaking out when the play happens. It's crazy. This guy loves watching football, and I don't know how I got to be so lucky, but yeah, man. So Grayson's gonna help me give our predictions now for the Eagles preview and predictions for the Eagles-Packers game. I know Tom, there he is. Good, right in the good time. Tom already, he said in a video ADD posted from last night's show, which if you didn't catch the guys last night, definitely go back and watch. But Tom already said that he is predicting a win for the Eagles. Like, do you want to extrapolate on that a little bit? Why do you see that, Tom? Like, what is it beside it being December? Because you talked about that. What else has you confident that the Eagles are going to win on Sunday against the Packers?
Well, one, just the way the NFL goes, you know what I mean? And if the ebb and flow of it, the Packers look unbeatable, obviously, especially after that Bears game. You know, like they can't be stopped. Rodgers is grooving. That's a big win for them. But there's letdowns in this league. And if you're watching us on tape, it's hard to get up for us. So,
Yeah.
you know, I'm thinking out of a player's perspective. There's no home fans, so it's not like you're going to get off that energy. And I just think they're beatable if you're willing to run the football, and if you can run the football. And like any other quarterback in the league, if you keep him off the field, guess what? You have a chance to win the game. I don't think this is any way like where, like, I don't want to guarantee a dub. I'm not going to go in that direction. I would put money on them. I definitely will put money on them against the spread for sure.
What is the spread? Do you know what the spread is right now?
9. I think it's 9, isn't it?
9
or 8.5. So I mean, I would take the Eagles in this game, and I just know the way we are. I mean, if you go in a time machine and go back last year, we were having the same conversation. Just we were coming up on a different game, but we were having the same conversation. We stink. Who's going? All this stuff, and then we were able to figure it out and win a couple games. Our schedule is way too hard for that, in my opinion. But the NFL is a weird place to be, and I don't have any confidence in this offense. I don't have any confidence in it much. But getting Zach Ertz back makes him have the game plan for somebody that could open your running game up a little bit, right? So, you know, maybe we can run the football this Sunday, and it would be typical Doug, typical us, where we run the ball 35 times. And, you know, Miles gets over 20 carries and everybody's like, oh, where did this come from? Why? And then I know what the posts are Sunday night. Why haven't we done this all year? Right? So I can almost feel what's coming. Now, all that being said, they get the doors blown off. But how bad do they want to fight? And we said that coming into this week, and the defense fought. Defense is going to have to fight again. But does this offense have any fight in them? You know, and fight starts with being able to run the ball a little bit. I'm not Mr. Run the Ball. But if you don't run the ball this week, I would literally, I think I'll get rid of everybody. Like, everybody can go. You know what I mean? Grayson, you can coach the rest of the year, little dude. A little man. Look at these guys. Look at you got chunky, too. You got big. Love it. Get big now.
All he does is eat or drink milk, man. That's all he does.
Look at his cheeks. Well, that's when you know.
Hair, bro.
Oh, dude, that hair. I'm upset with that hair because I would love just like a. He's like, let me borrow half for the front. I just need a little something for the front. But no, I just think it's a weird game. And they play well in Green Bay, right? I mean, they've had a sort of this. We play well certain teams. We don't play well against certain teams. Seattle owns us, so you know maybe we keep it close and we run the ball.
Yeah, maybe. Pete, what you got? Predictions, previews?
I mean, I don't foresee him winning. I think when we talked about wide receivers getting off the release, Devontae Adams may be the best at the league at getting that first step. He's not the fastest. He has great route running and great hands, but he gets that release off the line. So it's a little bit of a different matchup from Darius Slay. I think Darius Slay will do a little bit better. What worries me is Vontae Scantling in the slot, Tryon coming over the middle, and then let's not forget, I mean, they can run the ball. So if you're sitting here, if Doug commits to the run and we keep their offense off the field, that's one thing. But if we can't run the ball, it's good night, Irene. It's good night, Irene.
Their run defense is not good. That's the one thing you can take advantage of, and that's why, like, what times we have to run the ball. We have to run the ball. Like, come on. Like, I get it. I could kind of understand them being a little hesitant last week against Seattle because of those linebackers and like against Seattle's corners who are traditionally weak. Like, the game plan should have been like, hey, like, they have a weak secondary. Let's attack it. It didn't work out, but I can understand the approach of not wanting to run as much. But against this defense, if you want to win, you better run the ball. You better run it ball, and you better run it well because even if they stack the box, I don't care. Like, you have to have a successful running game. That's the only thing that's going to keep this offense on schedule and away from third and longs, fourth and longs. Like, you know, I think Carson. Of course, it seems like an obvious statement, but I have faith in Carson being able to execute on third and manageable, like 3rd and 5 and short. I think he can do that. Like, you know, that's such an obvious statement to say, but I'm saying it because, like, as bad as he's struggling right now and this offense, if you keep them ahead of schedule in terms of get yards on first and second down and make third down manageable, third and short, fourth and short, I think this offense can still do well. It's when they have these negative plays and becomes third and long because of a sack, and they can't get these chunk plays, and then on third and longs you're having uncreative play designs where it's everyone's running curl routes to the sticks, and the defense sees it. So I think that you have to run the ball. Like if Jordan Howard is active, and he should, use all three of them if you need to. Get Miles 20 carries, get Boston 5 carries, get Jordan 5 carries. Just get Clement off the field. I don't want to see Clement running the ball. Just get him off the field. But yeah, I think if there's any hope of not even winning the game, winning the game is going to be cool, but I just want to see life out of this offense. You know what I mean? If we see life out of this offense, that they don't play a horrible game, and they don't look like a mess that they've looked the past few weeks, and they actually look like a decent or a good unit, I'll be happy. I'll be like, okay, this offense is getting it together. There's signs of life. If I see that, I will be content. I will be, I'll be able to eat a loss and take it better than I would if this offense keeps being a mess. If that makes sense.
Makes sense. I mean, I would like to see them, play better offensively. It'd make the game more interesting, at least, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Not another outing where the first 5 possessions you go 3 and out. That's a mess. I'll tell you what, with them being 3 and out, the first 5 possessions, it was a really quick tape study. This was it yesterday when I was looking at the film. I'm like, 3 and out, 3 and out. That was really quick to watch. So that really saved me some time, but I don't want to see the 3 and outs over and over and over again. But yeah. All right, you want to go to Mom? I think Grayson wants to go to Mom now. Grayson says that the Eagles come up just short. He says 24-21 Packers in a nail biter on Sunday against the Packers. Eagles come up just short, but he hopes he's wrong, and he's gonna have the Eagles cover the spread, obviously.
I mean, I think I'll be more upset if they win.
Will you? Because we talked about it earlier, yeah.
Because it's a big difference between picking in the top 8 and picking 19.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
That's true. Because then those stud players like Micah Parsons and Jamar Chase are out of range.
Well, I know it's early, but from what I've seen so far, Micah Parsons, he's in that 15, 16, 17 range.
I thought higher. Micah Parsons. Hold on, I'll go to draft level real quick. Hold on.
I've seen some. I said, this is very, very early. Still very, very early. We're 3-4 months away. So, but
yeah, I've seen Micah Parsons definitely and I know when he said that he was opting out, that people had said, I think Solak and Kiss had said, he's going to be in that 5 to 10 range. Yeah, so right. draftnetwork.com, which does amazing draft stuff, they have Micah Parsons the number 4 overall prospect.
But how many people? Well, you know what's scaring me now is Baltimore sliding down. You know what I mean? Baltimore sliding down. So we're now they're 2 games behind Cleveland for the playoff spot. So somebody like that, if we win the division, somebody like that gets the pick ahead of us. They're drafting Parsons. They're not going to let a linebacker like that get by.
But how many linebackers do they have? I would think that if you're Baltimore, you need a wide receiver. So if they fall in the top 10, I think they would be looking at guys like we say Chase, you say Waddle, and all the Devontae Smith. I would think they'd be looking at them, but because
they could if they're in that range. They could if they're in that range. But
yeah, maybe we shall see. Baltimore slipping is something else. Any other whatchamacallit? Why am I blank? Oh, previews or predictions for the game on Sunday that you guys want to throw up before we close it out with some NFL talk.
28-24 Eagles.
2024. Okay.
28. If they win, they are winning a lower scoring game. I'm going to say 23-17 Eagles if they win. If they lose, it's going to be a blowout, I think. A double score, a double loss.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But if they win, I'm thinking 23-17.
Yeah. All right. So let's go. Let's wrap it up with some talk from around the league. I'm going to start first, and I want to get your opinion on this. So I don't know if you guys heard, but San Fran, because they can't play in Santa Clara, so they're going to be playing in Arizona now for the rest of their home games, and so they packed up and they'll be in Arizona and everything. And Kyle Shanahan had said, he urges his players to look out for any teammates, with mental health because of what's going on, because they have to pretty much be away from home for the next month or so. They have to be away from home and all of that. For one, that's a lot of respect to Kyle Shanahan for pointing that out, because that's something you don't think of immediately, but it's good looking out. But just when I hear that, that's like so mind-boggling. It's just like the fact that they have to play the rest of the games in Arizona. It's kind of like their own. We talked about the NHL and NBA being in bubbles. The San Franers, they're kind of like in their bubble now. Like they're away from home. Not like it just boggles my mind. And you pair that with all the postponements of the Ravens Steelers game and everything. And are you guys? I know all of us had like different varying opinions on how the football season would look like if we were going to have it, if it was going to finish and whatnot. I personally was concerned about the NFL not finishing the season. I felt like they're going to start, but I felt like finishing was going to be the big question mark. Do you guys have any concerns with it being the last month now and heading into the playoffs next month about where the league is at right now with all the COVID and winding down on the end of the season? Do you think it's looking good that we're going to finish, or are you now like, oh man, like anything could happen and you wouldn't be surprised if I don't know, wouldn't be surprised by anything?
Well, I think the league's a joke. I mean, I think the league trying to be the big bad wolf on the block, the big bad bully that they don't have to change, they don't have to bubble like other sports, and then get through it. Well, as a sports fan, I don't want to see stars not playing. So it's a disservice to me. I'd rather see stars just opt out and not play because of what they're going to have to do bubble wise, right? Yeah. I'd rather stars say, you know what, I'm not going to play than what's going on here. We're playing games on Wednesday afternoon. You know what I mean? We don't have a game tonight. It's a joke. It's a joke. Games are getting pushed back all the time. Like, did you think it wasn't going to happen at some point where we're going to lose players that mattered? And then, like, you have a game that goes off on Sunday without a quarterback? It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace to the game. It's a disgrace to the players who put so much time and effort into it. So give players that option before the season. But you could have rented Vegas out. You could have had the whole strip to yourself. So you decided, games would have been played at different times, and it would have been different. And it would have been a little weird, but we would have games all day, and that's fine for a football fan. That's awesome, and for them, they would probably make more money because their TV revenue would go up because you're going to have games all day on TV. You know what I mean? So you're getting TV deals off of that. I mean, so it's like, it's something they could have did. And now for them to say, oh, well, it's looking like we're going to do it in the playoffs. It's like, okay, are you even going to get there without having to expand your season anyway? Because that's where they're going to have to do. They're probably going to have to expand their season. So that's my thoughts on all that. I think it's a joke that they thought they were going to get through without losing key players and key spots and key games.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, the league is, I think that they'll definitely finish the season, but they are a joke at the same time. They'll finish the season for the fact because if this week hasn't shown you anything, they're going to make games go off. They don't care what the product looks like on the field. I mean, you look at Sunday.
The money.
They made an example out of the Denver Broncos. You know what I mean? They said, listen, we're not postponing the game. You don't have a quarterback. They had to call up Kendall Hinton. You saw what that was. You seen what they did, all the hoops that they made to try to make the Ravens and Steelers game go off without being pushed back because of the bye weeks already. Now, I will say this, Tennessee is really the main reason why that happened because they couldn't play Pittsburgh earlier in the year. So that's coming back to bite them. Outside of that, it's kind of going off without a hitch. But this was the first week we saw a premier player come into contact with it being Lamar Jackson, and that definitely played a factor into it. I'm not saying that the Broncos would have beat the Saints, but it could have been a lot different if Drew Lock or I forget who the other.
You knew it was a loss. Yeah, exactly. You knew it was a loss.
Right, but this game yesterday was the biggest one where you saw the impact of how they've chosen to handle this, and you don't want it, and they want to move to a moment because they don't want that shit to happen during a playoff game. Like that, you don't need that. But they could have easily, maybe not easily, it's not the right word, but they could have found a way to set something up. Maybe even if you just had the divisions all set up in one neutral spot, and then they could go out, but you're only going out to a certain area. You're going from Houston to wherever, or you're going from like LA to Portland or something like that, to where NFC, like the West divisions have their hub, the South divisions have their hub, the North divisions have their hub, and so on for the East. And that way you're only traveling between 4 or 5 different cities instead of going this crisscross shit and treating it like, because the owners ain't making money anyway, regardless. But that's my take on it.
I will say this with the bubble. I always felt like that was the bubble for the beginning of the season, for the whole year, was always going to be like a monstrous task and like near impossible, considering like what goes into making one NFL game is 100 times fold of what it goes into making getting together an NBA or NHL game. There's so many other factors for just to make one NFL game, and then you're not even including practice. You know what I mean? Like, it's not
right.
A football field. I know you guys will agree. Maintenance for a football field is different from maintenance with a hockey rink or a basketball court. Like,
you can wipe a court down. You can run all day.
Like, actual field, you have a team running all day. They're gonna chew up the field. You can't just flip it over.
Was Vegas grass?
Yeah, if I was grass and everything, like.
No, it's Vegas grass. It's Vegas artificial grass.
Oh, make it artificial grass.
Is Vegas artificial grass? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know if it is or not.
But yeah, I get the point. I get the point of the bubble, but they should have had it like they should have built it in. So like you don't have to bubble right away because they should have just smelled something. They should have known what winter time was going to bring and just be a step ahead and say, you know what, we're not going to bubble weeks 1 through 10. Right, but the last 6 weeks we're gonna be going that direction. And you put that into the deal and let players make that decision. But at the end of the day, it's not easy. There's tons of things that go into it. But that gives them even more time. But the reason the NFL is a joke, Chucks, Pete, is because they had more time than anybody.
Yes. And
like,
we talked about that. Yeah.
Let me lose players to injury. I don't want to be losing players to COVID. That's not fair to the sport. Like when other sports didn't lose players to COVID. Like the NBA, you saw your best team cut down the nets per se. Well, I want to see that in the NFL too. I don't want it to be, and some teams like the Baltimore Ravens have lost 9 Pro Bowlers through the year through COVID in different games. Like that's hard, man. That's hard. They're not losing guys to injuries, they're losing guys to COVID. That's like that's a team that should be a playoff team. If I'm a Ravens fan, I'll be pissed. So that's my point on it.
I was down, like the point you make about like maybe not the whole year. I was down for, someone brought up like, what if you make the playoffs a bubble at least? And that's when I was like, heck yeah! Like if you want to take the playoff teams, because then you're cutting down half of the teams, and then do like 2 or 3 bubbles with the playoff teams. That's something that's more realistic. And what you talk about, like I remember a show in this past summer, like we were like all of us, and Chrome too. We were going at the league and saying like, how are you doing? How are you so far? You had the most time out of any league, but you don't have anything figured out. Do you guys remember? It was the week of training camp. The teams were.
We were saying they were so unprepared,
and players did not know what they were doing. They were like, "What's going on?" The week of training camp. That's horrendous. So I agree with you there that as a league, you had all this time to figure something out, and you don't do it. You know what I mean? That's horrendous. Like it's irresponsible, and I think it's showing kind of like their arrogance that they can get away with anything.
Yeah,
And
Bill says it's not the league, it's the organizations. Period. True, Bill, but the league. What are you expecting for young kids, Bill? Because at the end of the day, we can call them professionals, but there's a lot of young kids, man. And you think at 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28-year-olds are going to be running around like taking it fully serious? No, because they're big-time athletes. They're going to be fine anyway. And they've seen guys be fine after the fact. So, guys are just going to go, okay, and not think it's going to get them, and then it's going to get them, and then they're going to have to miss games. And guys like Drew Lock who said, hey, that's on me, man. Like, we got complacent. We felt comfortable, and that's going to happen, right? So let guys feel comfortable and let guys let their hair down in a bubble atmosphere where nobody has to worry about missing any damn games. So, like, at the end of the day, I would ask players, do you want to miss games? Because by week 10, 11, 12, we're going to have cases, and we're going to be missing games. And I think more and more teams, like we blame on the organizations, but what are the organizations going to do? Oh, you better do this? Well, no shit.
Right.
Like, I mean, you think Baltimore is a smart organization and telling their players, hey, we're going to need you. We're going to need you to clean it up. So I don't know.
Right.
What's Bermuda class? What? But look at Yusuf. Like Yusuf is like Bermuda class. Like, if you know what I'm saying. Like
Bermuda. The only way I know about Bermuda is when I play golf and I have to put on the greens.
Are they nice?
It's difficult. Oh, it's nice, but they're difficult. Bermuda's very grabby. It's very sticky.
So like it would get beat up easy.
It would get chewed up pretty quick.
Okay, but you have UNLV there as well, right?
Yeah.
So you could play games at UNLV, and what you would have done is you would have played games Thursday through Sunday, and you would have made the schedule where certain teams are playing every Thursday, certain teams are playing every Friday, and you keep them a week apart, and then you play Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. That's all you do. I mean, the NFL is the biggest ticket on. There's nothing else on besides some college football. So, they would sell even more. Like, it would be more games on. It's like, to me, like, you want to put money in owners' pockets this year? Well, that's how you do it. So they'll probably do that. They won't be able to do that for, the playoffs. Everything's always on. So that doesn't matter anyway. But we'll see. You're right, Pete, though. They're going to get through it because they have enough players to get through it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they're going to make teams continue to play.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, it was nice talking to you again. Fan base.
Seeing you, boys.
Yeah, good seeing you guys. I know we didn't have Chrome, but he had – I didn't say this at the top of the show, but, Chrome had some technical issues and wasn't able to be on, but hopefully next week, guys, we'll be back on to join us three yet again. But, hey, we thank you again for tuning in to another great show. We love that you guys chimed in, and we always appreciate your support, your viewing. We wouldn't be here if it weren't you guys, so thank you again. This was Birds of a Feather on A2D Radio. We are all over Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and Twitch. So make sure you catch us. Make sure you follow A2D Live on Facebook. Make sure you subscribe to not only our Twitter, but YouTube as well. We got a lot of people over on YouTube. So keep it going. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Our sponsors, again, were our doc, Paul Vidal of Specialized Physical Therapy, LLC, Ambuck Services Gutter Cleaning, ambuckservices.com, and Philly Drinkers at phillydrinkers.com. Make sure you catch all the other shows that we got. We got so many shows, guys. Tomorrow, we got the Fan Friday new show. You guys went 4 hours last week. I looked back on the show. I'm like, you guys went for 4 hours.
Slot talk.
Great.
my
Oh, we got an interview with former
Adam.
Washington when they were Redskins. Adam Carricker tomorrow at 12 o'clock. We had him on back in the day in our athlete spotlight. So we're gonna have him on tomorrow talking obviously the NFC East. Yusuf's gonna be excited. We're gonna be talking about Washington. We're gonna be talking some Eagles. We're gonna be talking some Cornhuskers. So that'll be fun. And right now, for all you hockey junkies, Hockey Happy Hour is live on A2D right now as well. So
absolutely jump over to them.
And look, all campus for all your hats, allcampusoc.com for all your team hats. Use promo code A2D and you get 15% off. And the other little thing we have going on right this second is you still get 25% off A2D merch at phillydrinkers.com. So done and done, right? And we'll have some ugly Christmas sweaters coming out here shortly. Alex is working on. So just some extra fun stuff we're trying to do. So allcampusoc.com for your team hats. Use promo code A2D, 15% off and 25% off over at phillydrinkers.com.
Can't go wrong. Holiday shopping, guys. Holiday shopping. Get on it now before it's too late. Make sure you catch all the other shows. Remember, guys, Saturday is stacked. I mean, we got Kicking It Stateside. We got Weekly Roundup, Combat Sports Stop, Caps Corner, In This Very Ring. Sunday, of course, we got the flagship with Agree to Disagree. Mondays, we got Sports Hounds. Tuesdays, Lazy Booking. And A2D After Dark. Wednesdays, Card Knocks, and The Fix in the PM. Remember, guys, hop over to Hockey Happy Hour. They're going on right now. But till next week, enjoy the game as much as you can. Enjoy the NFL games on Sunday, the 3 on Monday. Remember, we got triple header of NFL games on Monday.
Wow.
Enjoy all
5
that.
and 8, right?
No matter what. Yeah, I think, between 5 and, I think the first one starts at 5, if I'm correct. But yeah, guys, no matter what, go Birds, fly Eagles, fly, and we will see you next week.